A couple of weeks ago, we showed a good Samaritan risking his own life to dive into a moving car to help a person who was suffering a seizure. This video went viral. The story mentioned how the gentleman jumping into that moving car there stuck his fingers in the victim's mouth to stop him from swallowing his tongue. Not a trained first aider. The man did what he thought was right. But it brought to attention this long-standing myth. Jasmine, Morante, and Andrea Dent of Epilepsy, South Central Ontario, are here to talk about the correct way to help someone who's having a seizure and to bust some myths as well. And that's a biggie that's been around forever. Mm-hmm. How did you even start?
Yeah, so for the myths, that's one of the biggest misconceptions, that you can swallow your tongue during a seizure. It's actually physically impossible for someone to swallow their tongue. They can vomit, they can have excess saliva, they may foam in their mouth. Also, bleeding can happen from biting their tongue or their cheek or their lips. But we never want to put anything in their mouth, just for the safety of yourself and for that person as well.
Fingers bitten.
Yeah,
badly.
You can get your fingers bitten, or people used to put a wooden spoon in a person's mouth, and that would essentially break a person's teeth or their jaw or choking.
Right.
So we want to prevent that from happening, keep them safe. So just let them have their seizure. It's going to hurt them biting their tongue, but they'll recover faster from it than breaking their teeth or their jaw.
So a big myth and a huge what not to do. We're going to learn what to do. But now, epilepsy, and you're with Epilepsy South Central Ontario, but in Canada, in Ontario, what are the numbers?
So 1 in 10 people will experience a seizure in their lifetime. That doesn't mean that you will develop epilepsy. Epilepsy is a neurological condition, and you get diagnosed if you have typically 2 or more seizures unprovoked. So they just randomly happen at any point. And 1 in 100 people develop epilepsy. So it's more common than we think.
Right.
That's another misconception, that people think it's a rare, doesn't really happen.
It's important to be armed with this information, because we could come across this as that gentleman did, and to know what to do. Now, people who have loved ones that are epilepsy sufferers, they know what to do, and sad to say, but it's kind of a routine thing. And it's like after, so I guess epilepsy sufferers, when people who aren't familiar with it are freaking out, there's it's okay, I've been there, done that. They get a little annoyed. Yeah,
so that's why we're here to debunk those myths and just bring more awareness to everyone. And essentially what you're going to do during a seizure is you're going to stay calm. The seizure is going to end. It's not.
How long do they typically last?
They typically last 1 to 3 minutes. So it will end between 30 seconds to 3 minutes, depending on the person. So that's why we stay calm. It's going to end eventually.
Okay. But at what point do we call 911?
Yeah, so that's why we're going to time the seizure. That's an important something to do. You're going to call 911 if you know the person has epilepsy and their seizure lasts more than 5 minutes.
Andrew, can we ask you for a little demo here? Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just going to get down on the ground, and then Jasmine's going to demonstrate seizure first aid for us.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's typical for a person to fall onto the ground and to start shaking. So essentially all you have to do is you're going to just get them, gently roll them onto their side.
Okay, now
they will be shaking uncontrollably.
The benefit of that is?
So any fluids can exit out of their mouth. We talked about the vomiting, the excess saliva.
Right.
So we want to prevent choking from happening.
Right.
And it also keeps a clear airway. This is the best recovery position for someone to be on their side.
Okay.
And if there was something soft in the vicinity, we would want to grab that
you want to make sure they're clear of anything that could harm them.
Yeah, so if there were any dangerous objects, if she fell and there were chairs or whatever it is nearby, I'd ask other people to move it. You get all the help that you can.
Right.
Ask someone to time the seizure, get someone to move dangerous objects out of the way, and it'll end 1 to 3 minutes. Just leave them on their side.
You don't try to restrain them in any way.
No. So we're never ever going to hold them down. A lot of people think holding them down like this is going to stop their seizure from happening. It starts in the brain. So that does nothing.
Right.
So you're just going to hold them in place. What I like to do is I keep my legs right behind their back, just because they tend to shake a lot. So it just protects them from falling back onto their back. And I'm not telling you not to touch them, just not to put any body weight on them, because they're going to feel it after their seizure, actually.
There's a number of different types of seizures. I think about 40 in total, but do we, the layperson, need to know what different types of seizures? It's the same treatment for any kind of seizure.
Right, so for this kind of seizure, tonic-clonic, that's another myth, that people think that this is the main or the more common seizure. It's actually not as common as we think. It's just the most obvious.
Right, okay.
So there's seizures where it may look like a blank stare.
Right.
Like a person is daydreaming, right? Or sometimes it's an odd feeling or an odd sensation, lasting about 15 to 30 seconds.
And before we run out of seconds, we're going to get some information on screen because Andrea actually, are you okay?
I'm okay.
You got to talk about this big event before we go to break. This is happening in September, and it's a great information session for people and families.
Yes, so the Family and Youth Retreat is a full weekend event, which is going on in September, and it's actually the second time we've done this event, and it's an opportunity for individuals and their families to come together who either have epilepsy or who has someone in their family who has epilepsy. And the weekend provides them an opportunity to connect, but also to take place in different workshops that we're offering. So some examples of workshops that we're offering are government financial financial aid. Mm-hmm. So just teaching people the different options that are available in regards to financial support.
And there's been new research like with ketogenic diets and all kinds of encouraging things for helping people with epilepsy. So great information session. We'll get the information at chch.com for registration. Thank you so much for busting some myths and health news we can use.
No problem.